Well, hey guys, welcome back. If you're new here, I'm Dr. Dray. I'm a board-certified dermatologist. In this video, we're diving into a topic that I get asked about a ton, and it comes up a lot on various online forums. And that is there some kind of diet that can help heal, clear up, and prevent flare-ups of hidradenitis suppurativa? There's actually some research interest in this very topic, and we're going to get into it in today's video. We're going to talk about some different dietary approaches to hidradenitis suppurativa, what the science actually shows, and if making any dietary changes, how that might impact your overall burden of hidradenitis suppurativa, a chronic inflammatory, painful skin condition. Hidradenitis suppurativa affects millions of people, and while it's not directly caused by your diet or any specific food for that matter, as with other inflammatory skin conditions, your dietary choices without a doubt likely influence the degree with which the pendulum swings as far as the severity scale for your disease. But you don't have to spend much time online to get hit in the face with a ton of dietary anecdotes, diet zealots claiming you need to eradicate this, that, and the other. Next thing you know, you will be left feeling like you can't eat anything. We're going to go over what the science actually says and, importantly, what it doesn't say. Let's just talk about some basics here. What exactly is hidradenitis suppurativa anyway? It's a chronic skin condition that causes painful bumps, abscesses, and scarring, usually in the skin folds or areas of the body where you have a lot of friction, such as under the arms, in the groin, between the buttocks. Here's what hidradenitis suppurativa is not. It's not an infection, and it's not a hygiene issue. You didn't get this because you didn't bathe enough. Oh, and it's also not an issue related to not drinking enough water. If anyone tries to tell you to drink more water to get rid of this, listen, they can just take a seat, because drinking more water, all that's going to do is make you go to the bathroom more. It's not going to address the hidradenitis suppurativa. Now, weight and hormones are huge influences on this condition, but it's fundamentally an immune and inflammatory condition of the hair follicle. So where does diet fit into this? If we take a look at what the most recent scientific research suggests, a number of recent studies have explored the topic of hidradenitis suppurativa and diet. There are several reviews published between 2023 and 2025. A 2024 paper published by Verhal and colleagues examined existing dietary studies in hidradenitis suppurativa, and they concluded that while high-quality evidence is limited, diet may be a helpful complementary approach to hidradenitis suppurativa. Similarly, a 2024 paper emphasized that diet, while not a treatment, may have an influence on inflammatory pathways relevant to hidradenitis suppurativa. What patterns are we talking about here? Well, a 2023 paper looked at dairy specifically, particularly cow's milk. Cow's milk may increase something called insulin-like growth factor 1, or IGF-1. This hormone can not only promote inflammation, but can actually contribute to hair follicle clogging. Some patients report that reducing or eliminating dairy had a profoundly positive influence on their HS. However, the results are not across the board, with some people finding that reducing or eliminating dairy didn't make a difference for them. In other words, it may influence, but it's not a universal trigger, meaning not everyone will have an issue with it. It won't make a difference for everyone's HS. So if you note an association with dairy consumption and flare-ups, well then it might be worth considering cutting back or eliminating. But if you tolerate it and you don't have flare-ups related to consumption of dairy, then there's no need to just blindly eliminate it because some guru online told you dairy is something you've got to cut out. Then there's high glycemic index foods. These are foods that spike your sugar, like white bread, refined sugary snacks, candy, cookies, pastries, the sweet stuff, sugar-sweetened beverages, soda, processed refined carbohydrates. These can increase systemic inflammation. And studies have shown that taking on a low glycemic load diet can help some patients with hidradenitis suppurativa, not only by improving their metabolic health, but by reducing their insulin spikes. Here's an interesting one, the low FODMAP diet. This is an emerging area of research interest. Low FODMAP diets are typically part of management of irritable bowel syndrome, but a 2025 study showed that a low FODMAP diet might have some beneficial effects on gut health and reducing fermentable sugars that ultimately might end up helping to reduce inflammation in patients with hidradenitis suppurativa, especially in patients who have overlapping gastrointestinal symptoms. So the takeaway from the research we have is that some of these dietary interventions might make a difference for some patients, but they're definitely not a one-size-fits-all. And you really should not institute any of these changes by yourself. Really, you want to be doing this under the supervision of your healthcare provider and ideally a registered dietitian. While diet can help, there are some things diet simply can't do. Number one, diet, it can't cure hidradenitis suppurativa, and it can't replace established medical therapies like topical or oral medications, injections, biologics, surgery. If you're having HS flare-ups, you need to be under the care of a dermatologist. Simply going online to different forums and trying to get diet advice, it's not going to get you there. At best, what diet can do is to help reduce some of the inflammation that drives flare-ups, potentially making flare-ups less frequent and less severe. Not to mention improve your overall skin and total body health. But again, I just want to emphasize, not everyone is going to see a positive change from implementing dietary modification. Who might want to consider evaluating their diet and seeing if they can't make a tweak here and there to help their hidradenitis suppurativa? I would say someone who continues to experience really stubborn, uncomfortable flare-ups despite treatment, it might be worth looking at your diet and modify some things. And if you're exploring just overall healthier eating patterns, that certainly can make a difference as far as incorporating more whole foods, anti-inflammatory foods like fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, and lean sources of protein. Also, if you have gastrointestinal symptoms like bloating, irritable bowel syndrome, or other gut symptoms, then the low FODMAP diet might be something that you want to talk about with your doctor. How do you go about getting started implementing a dietary change in an effort to help out your hidradenitis suppurativa? I suggest keeping a food diary first and foremost. Track what you eat and how your skin responds for about 4 to 6 weeks, making note of dairy consumption and any flare-ups that you might have, making note of more refined sugary foods and seeing how that influences your skin. If you notice a pattern, then you can start by removing or reducing one category at a time, like dairy or refined sugars, and then watch for changes. But don't make drastic, over-the-top changes all together, all at once. Very hard to keep up with and unnecessary, and just may even put you at risk for nutrient deficiencies if you're too aggressive. My biggest tip is avoid extreme, overly restrictive diets, and avoid overly restrictive diets unless that has been recommended by a healthcare provider and you are under their supervision. Specifically, a low FODMAP diet. A low FODMAP diet is not even something that is intended to be a lifestyle. It's really only meant for a short window of time, at least in the case of IBS. It can easily lead to deficiencies, which is not going to help out your hidradenitis. I know accessibility is very challenging these days, but if you have the opportunity to work with a registered dietitian, that's your best bet because they're the ones who are skilled with executing dietary interventions to help patients with different medical conditions, and to do so in a way that is safe and not going to put you at risk for nutrient deficiencies. I want to mention here that I think it's fantastic that people want to look at their lifestyle and make some changes to be proactive. And if you're wondering what other lifestyle interventions can I do, what things can I be doing to really help my hidradenitis suppurativa, I want you to check out my other video about HS because I give a lot more lifestyle tips, tricks, and skincare management approaches that can really make a difference when done over the long run for your HS. I will link that down below in the description box. But to sum it up, diet, it doesn't cause hidradenitis suppurativa, but it may play a role in flare-ups and overall severity. It may help in supporting symptom management. Some patients may benefit from cutting back on dairy, reducing high glycemic load meals, and by maybe even considering a low FODMAP diet for a short period of time under the supervision of a healthcare provider. Think of these strategies as complementary. They're not meant to serve as primary treatments, nor are they meant to replace established efficacious treatments for hidradenitis suppurativa. And we still really need to see more large-scale controlled studies studies. Diet is really challenging to study, and the available research that we do have, while interesting, still very limited and not adequate to address certain specific questions. Like, how do we know who exactly is going to benefit and who is this just going to be a waste of time for? But if you've been considering changing up your diet, you're not alone. This is a common area of inquiry online in various forums. People want to know, what foods should I avoid for my HS? But always check with your healthcare provider before making significant changes. Some overly restrictive diets that are promoted online in different forums, they can really backfire, not only in leading to nutritional deficiencies, but if you are on certain medications, certain diets might actually really put you at risk for more adverse events with certain medications. All right, guys, I really hope this video was helpful. Let me know in the comments if you have hidradenitis suppurativa. Have you changed anything up in your diet? Has it made a difference for you? Let us know. But if you guys enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and as always, don't forget, sunscreen and subscribe. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye!